Hey, this is David Kavanaugh back on FZR 1000 carburetors, and I'm going to see how filming works with this strap to my chest, because I'm going to be doing a couple things on the carburetors and then going back to the bike, and this way the camera goes where I go. So I have a new fixture screw set that I need to put in, because on the old one, see where the old one was. I mean, the old one's fine, except I couldn't find the little O-ring that goes on here, so this one's complete. I don't know where I put my knife, dang it. Alright, I'll just tear it open the old-fashioned way. So what I didn't explain too well in the last video was that when you put these in, you have to be really careful with them. And I almost knocked that O-ring out again. Dang it. Anyway, so these have to be installed carefully and driven all the way in. And you don't want to drive it too hard against the base, because you'll really deform the O-ring. So it was number 4 that was missing. So here we go. What I have is that this bit fits nicely in there, and it's a good diameter. It won't walk out of there because it's basically matched to the width of that opening. So this is all good to go in here, and I could drop that in. And then I want to thread this all the way in, and carefully. And that's why I don't have a big handle on here, because this gives me a little more sensitivity. I can't apply the same amount of torque that I would be able to if I had a nice wide handle on this. So I'm going to get that in there. It's still moving nicely. At some point this is just going to stop. Yeah, I feel like there's resistance now. Alright, so there's a painted line on the side of this, so that's going to help me a little bit here. I need to do 2.5 turns out. It should be the default value. So I'm going to bring this back 1. There's 2. Now I want to bring this to the opposite side. There's 2.5. Alright, so actually what is interesting, what I see on here is these 2 screws are facing the same angle, and these 2 screws are facing the same angle. So maybe that's part of the plan. Alright, so the only thing I haven't done here is use my straight edge to make sure these are all flat and lined up. Yeah, this is going to prevent that from lying flat, but I can do this. And this board is not really good to use, so I need to get my straight edge from the car, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I bought this straight edge. It's a machinist straight edge, and it's straight within 0.5 thousandths across the entire length, and that's very straight. I bought this to check engine blocks and cylinder heads for flatness, but it can be used here as well, although I'm not sure that this is a good setup, because what I really want is a nice flat surface for it to rest on. Of course, I can use it to tell how not flat my board is. Anyhow. I feel like this is not as critical as one might think, because they're being mounted in rubber, but it's still a good idea to get them lined up as nicely as possible. I feel like I'm seeing a little gap on number 3 and possibly a little gap on number 2, so I'm wondering if I can tap the carburetors and get them to, what should I tap them with? Something like this. See if that works. Oops. It looks a little better. You know, if this was super critical, I would be using a feeler gauge and getting some real measurements here, like in thousandths of an inch. But this isn't super critical. I'm just trying to get these to be lined up as nicely as I can. So by tapping these, what I'm hoping is that they shift a little bit on the bolt that goes through here. And there's a little tension on this already. Just going to double check this. Yeah, there's a little bit of tension on here already. So that should act to hold that in place when I make these adjustments. Let's see if that makes much of a difference. I feel like I'm seeing less light through there, so that's a good thing. All right, I'm going to go with that. So now I just need to find, oh, here we go. No, 10 millimeters too big. All right, so I found some tools to use. Yeah, I did need a 10 millimeter. The one I had was a 12. So yeah, I got a rusty old socket. My good set's on the sailboat, so just need to snug this up a bit. And then I had a socket for this. There we go. Now there's the other bolt down there, and an Allen head goes in there. It's feeling good. Alright, that feels better. Alright, I'll do one more check here to see if things have gotten too far out of whack. Little gap on number 3 still, some slight gap on number 2. And we'll see how that works out. Let's put that back in the case. And I'm seeing, yeah, this is interesting. This must go up because I'm seeing 4 little indentations here, and that would line up with the 4 that are on the bike. Alright, so let's put this down. And it looks like this is darn close to that cable. But if it goes right below it though. There we go, that's fully home. And I can grab my screwdriver, get that snugged up. Alright, next I need to get the coils in place. So I'm thinking, I don't need to take the carbs out to put the coils in, but it's probably easier to get the coils in right now than later. This is always a pain in the butt. That's right, just making sure that's number 1. Alright, get these run in by hand. Snug them up. All right, time for color matching. So these are both yellow, sort of. green to green, brown to brown. Well, sorry about that. My camera shut off because the SD card was full. One downside about this GoPro 9 is it shoots really high resolution, so it takes up a lot more space. And I forgot to check the SD card before starting this. So anyway, I finished hooking up all the connectors, and the coils are all attached. So the next job really should be replacing all the fuel lines. I have some cutters and some fuel line. So these cutters are normally used for coax cable, but I think they'll work fine here. So that means I need to take out the fuel filter. See if that'll wiggle off nicely. It's coming. I don't want to break this old rubber on here. Oh, it's being held up by stuff. Of course. Of course it is. Pliers. I also have my nice new fuel filter. I can take this guy out. All right, making progress. So yeah, first job, cut a line. It's going to be this size. And then a little longer because that's the part that broke off when I was pulling it off the petcock. Not bad. Now I need to transfer this little retainer guy. Oh, this has a little metal ring on it, and the new one's plastic. Of course. And I'd be foolish to think this would come willingly. Come on, you can do it. Get the rest of the way off of there. Patience. All right. And on to the new one. There we go. Beauty. So that's fully on. All right. That end's good to go. Now about the fuel pump side. Yeah, that one's really hard to get. Great, there's another one. Now I'm not sure if I have enough line to do the long one. Huh. I have to figure this one out. There we go. transfer the clamps. Let's see. So this has to go underneath these to get in the right position. And perhaps what I'll do is I'll get this onto the mounting bracket. There we go. Great. Now this is ready to go. Phew. I suspect I don't have enough of this, but stranger things. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to come up a little short, so I'm going to keep that for now. I'm hoping it's not too crusty to try this out. So now we go carburetors. Need to remember to hook up the starter circuit. Where's the... I'm going to need this to loosen this. I should really get that on there. That goes to the fuel or the air box. There's that over there. So this guy has to connect in to that white piece, and then it's retained by this. Now I need to tighten that screw down. And that's definitely not something you want to do after the rack is in there, because like where's the screwdriver going to go? So now I can test out the choke. See, there you go. That moves fine. I better loosen up the... Dang it. I better loosen up all the clamps for the boots. For that I have my Chapman set. Anybody who doesn't know what a Chapman set is, Chapman Manufacturing. This is a pretty old one. I've had this for years. The new ones have a lot more bits, and they're pretty nice. So if I wanted to go the different direction, I spin the ratchet around, and now I'm on the loosening direction. So I can hold the bit in there. That's plenty loose. This one I should loosen up. This one I should definitely loosen up. Boy, that's a bear to reach. I'm able to get a few degrees on this thing at a time. Here, I'll stand up again so you guys can see this. I can hold this in here at a slight angle. I've been wanting to replace these with socket head cap screws, because then I can get an Allen wrench in here, or possibly one with a ball end, and it's just much easier. These Phillips heads or JS screws, they strip out so much more easily. I know you're going to say I'm not using a JIS screwdriver here, and I'm probably not, because I don't happen to have those tiny bits for those. The one I do have like this one's Japanese industry standard. You know, it's different than a Phillips, because a Phillips has it's tapered towards the point where these separate blades are straight. And you get much more torque with those. Alright, so that's looser now. So now I can, well, let me see, should I wrestle in, see if I pulled that was on the bottom, that, so I believe this one is the bottom one. There we go. Phew. No, that's not going anywhere. All right. Now I can seat the carburetors into the boots and start popping them in. Got to feel to make sure I got them fully seated. Might be best to steer them directly. All right, I can hook up the vent hoses. They just go on there. It's not bad. I see the throttle linkage working. Just gonna snug that down a little bit. All right. Here's the gas line, fuel line. I really need a new hose for that. It'll be a parts store run later. All right. Now we do a little unboxing. I picked this guy up. The idea here is I can just hang this guy up and have a ready fuel supply. And there's a little shut off on here, which is nice. I assume that's on and then off. What I'm not too sure about is this. Seems to be, oh, it's just a vent, but oh, maybe it's for some bikes. Maybe some fuel inject bikes need a return line, so that's fine. I can skip that. But yeah, I need to fill this up. All right, well, this would be funny if it wasn't quite so sad. About 90 minutes later, I ended up with adapters for pieces of hose I need to get together. So here we go. I went to Walmart because I needed birdseed anyway. And I went to auto parts store and they had some cheesy little plastic adapters. I thought, well, that'd be good enough. I only need to run this for like 20 minutes. But no, none of these were suitable. And the guy there said, oh yeah, Home Depot or Lowe's. So of course I went to Home Depot because I normally find the help at Lowe's to be useless. And it turns out Lowe's was the place after all. So here we go, getting it together. Alright, it's all tight. Added it. That'll do it. And for good measure, we'll get this on there. And then stick this one on there. Do I have a hose clamp? Let's see if this hose clamp fits. This is tiny, but I think it might. Oh yeah. That'll do it. Good to go. So, let's get some stuff out of the way here. This stuff's going to start vibrating because I know this is going to work. All right. So that was the fuel pump going. Let's see if it primed up. I see fuel in the filter. That's good. Just need to let it fill up the carburetors. Alright, I call that a success. Got some running here. And what I was noticing was the slides here were moving, but not so much here. So I definitely need to sync these up. So that's why I've got the carb tune over here. I picked this up when the dollar was strong to the pound. And yeah, I got my adapters in here. So I made this little tool in order to get these little hose barbs attached, because there's it uses the larger 6mm, and I thought this fits on there. Maybe it's got kind of old and crusty. Anyway, the idea was I needed a way to get these spun in there on the connector tubes between underneath the carburetors. There's little Allen head bolts that block off the passages that these hook into. So that's my next thing. I need to get that installed, and I just want to hear this thing run again. Hang on. It's been so long. Alright, no guarantee the mixture is any good, but it should be a good default. So, yeah, I think I need to sync this thing up next. Alright, so I have the carb tune hooked up. They're all hooked up to the various fittings. These are the Allen head or socket head bolts that I took out, and yeah, so let's run it. Alright, so we can see imbalance already. So 1 is low and 4 is high. So now what I'll do is I'll find a screwdriver and get that adjusted. But I'll probably do that off. Well, let me get the screwdriver first. Maybe I'll do that on cam. Alright, so I got the screwdriver in here. As I tweak that, you can see that these bubble out. I want to grab it a little bit. That's with the starter circuit. I better. Hey, so yeah, I wanted to give a little wrap up here. I made some adjustments and mostly just the idle, and it seems to run pretty well now. Just a little under 1,000 RPM. So let's see. Come on. On the road. All right, so there's that. And the next thing is the gas tank. I cleaned up the inside. The only thing I have to do now is clean up this area underneath where the filler cap goes. So I'm going to mask this area off. I'm going to just hit this with a really light sandpaper because there's really not much there, just a little surface. And then I have this I've got this rust converter, and then I'll hit it with the black epoxy paint. So that ought to be really durable, and that'll protect that little area there. And yeah, then that goes back on the bike. I did get some more fuel line, so I'll replace the red hose that's in here, going back to the pump. And then what else do I have? I believe I have a bunch of little stuff, really. Like, this is the overflow hose for the coolant, and it has the proper grommet here. The one that's in there right now is some tape wrapped around it, and the thing just kind of pukes water once in a while because I think it's pushed down in. So anyway, I'll get that in there. Can't wait to ride it. Hopefully the carbs are going to be a little bit better behaved now. At least I know there's all new rubber in there now. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like or subscribe or whatever if you want to keep up with this. My next thing after this is probably the Blue Dot brakes and the new Master. So yeah, then I just need to ride this guy. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.